Today on the podcast, we got two guests. Go ahead and introduce yourself, guys.
What's going on, guys? My name is Jake. Working first Phorm. You want more?
That's it?
I don't know. What the fuck do you want? I don't know.
My name's Jake. I'm a Pisces.
Favorite hobby?
I like to party.
Favorite color's yellow.
I think that's good. Jake got his start at Supplement Superstores as a young buck and was promoted through the ranks, and then eventually went over to First Phorm and now kills it there.
I'm Collin Stark. Same story. In 2013, Kyle Combs hired me with Supplement Superstores.
That's why you're doing so well in life right now.
It was his
purely
guidance.
my guidance in life has led you to where you're at.
Yeah, no discipline, hard work on my end. It was Kyle.
Zero. He doesn't have any discipline and he doesn't work hard. So,
Hey man, but hey, on a cool note, how old were you when you got hired?
19. Yeah, 19, 2013. So I'm 29 now. It's been coming up on 10 years. I was telling this story a couple minutes ago, but I think it's pertinent. The first time I met Kyle used to be a powerlifter. He used to be strong.
That's
He
true.
doesn't look like it,
He used
but
to
he
be.
used to be strong.
I'm still strong, bro.
Maybe a bench press.
Pound for pound.
So
How much can you squat? I can squat as much as you.
over 500.
All right. I could probably squat a little under you.
But the first time I met him, he was squatting. And so he comes into my local gym, and I'm, mind you, 19 years old. I'm a bro. I got a cut off sleeve. My nipples popping out. And this dude starts lifting. And
important.
he's squatting the bar as if it's like 700 pounds, like the most intense look on his face. Then he puts 135 on, and he puts like this icy hot stuff I've never seen before.
Oh, the blue stuff, man.
The blue stuff, whatever that's for horses or something crazy.
Yeah.
And then he puts his knee sleeves on with 135, and he's squatting 135 like it's 700 pounds. And I'm like, this
Exploding
dude's such a
from the
tool.
hole.
Literally, like
Yeah.
it's the guy who benches with the bar like super fast.
Yeah.
And so I'm
Explosive.
like judging him because I'm 19 and I'm a bro. And then he works his way up. He hits like a triple at like 565. And I'm like, oh, okay. This guy's serious.
Yeah.
And I walked right over
Colin,
to him, and
you
I was
were
like,
just measuring. You were just keeping score from the corner.
I was like, who's there? And then
Yeah.
he went, whoop, I'm bigger than you.
yeah,
So
that's funny.
Those were the heavy Kyle days. I was not a small man back then. Oh, dude, that's
Training
on,
partner there.
that's on the east side of the river.
Yep, that's Club Fitness in Collinsville, Illinois, with Ken.
Yeah, Ken, my boy.
Man, dude, those are styrofoam plates if I've ever
Yeah.
seen them. That
He had
knee
Hardee's right
buckle
before
was
that.
a really good sell there, Kyle.
Yeah.
Do you remember the Instagram weights?
Yeah,
Yeah, dude.
you can order them online still, I'm sure.
Same with bags of cash.
Yeah. So order some Instagram weights online. You know, we can redo that. You know what I'm saying? Because that's
Yeah.
the only way I'm going to lift that weight again.
Same.
Anymore, I'm more. I'm definitely not lifting that kind
Retired,
of weight.
man.
Functional.
You got varsity that year though, so it's cool.
I was really going for varsity, made varsity, got a Letterman jacket, and so now we're good. So explain to everybody why you guys are in town. Because you guys live in St. Louis, right? Where First Phorm headquarters is at, and you guys work at First Phorm headquarters.
Yep.
But you are in town right now. Explain why you guys are visiting our lovely city of Kansas City.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing is going out and meeting people, man. Like getting in the communities, meeting new friends, setting up some high V's as well because they just started carrying our energy drink. And it's been awesome. We've been here, 2 days?
Yeah.
And we've met some awesome people. And just the area is fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, we really like Kansas City.
Yeah, it's
Obviously.
Dude,
Moved
yeah,
your
I
whole
mean,
life here.
it's a different vibe from St. Louis a little bit though, isn't
one
it?
thing I have noticed.
Yeah,
though,
what have you noticed?
Everybody mentions street names. Back home, it's like landmarks. It's like, oh yeah, it's behind Walmart, in Edwardsville. Like here, it's like 82nd Street. They're like, dude, they're so precise. And it's pretty amazing.
It's pretty difficult when you don't live here.
I'm like, well, I don't know where the
I
fuck
moved
that is.
here in 2016, right? I'm from St. Charles, right outside St. Louis. I don't know if you knew that, Jake. But yeah, grew up in St. Charles and then moved from Springfield, Missouri to here, right? And so it took me like literally over a year to people would describe things to me and I'd just be like, if it's not on my route to work, I've just never seen it. I can just assure you I've never heard of it and I've never seen it. Oh, you ever been to this restaurant? Like I'm at the store 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Like no, And I had maps, like anything that wasn't to or from work or home. Like I just, for at least probably 2 years. Like
Really?
I didn't know how to get to the mall. I didn't know how to get to Walmart. I didn't know how to get to any place that wasn't work or home because both of them were right off I-35. So think of it as like 70 or 40 in St. Louis. I-35 and 435 just kind of like run the city, it seems like to me. Was there any other highways I'm missing?
No, I mean, those are the ones that go.
435 is like east-west. I-35 is north-south. And that's it. And so it's just like the first thing you see after you exit. So I'm like, couldn't tell you what any street name is or what neighborhood that is, or I mean, it was weird. You know what I mean? Like I just knew nothing.
The thing that's in my opinion most different between St. Louis and Kansas City is St. Louis has got a lot of little neighborhoods, and Kansas City doesn't have as many of those small little neighborhoods. And then also St. Louis, people always ask you what high school you went to.
That's not
that's a common thing.
No,
in St. Louis,
every
for
different
sure.
store that I managed in St. Louis, they'd be like, "Oh, okay, cool, man. Like, so what high school did you go to?" I'm like, I'm from Kansas, so don't ask me that question.
Dude, the other big thing I would tell you, it's like, this is an endearing quality. There's definitely things about St. Louis that is awesome, but like total game changer for me and why I love living here over St. Louis is the downtown. I live downtown. It's not really cool to live downtown, I feel like, in St. Louis yet. They're trying, but I think they keep swinging and missing. I've been told like the one life that turned into a Genesis downtown is like empty and like no one goes and so forth. And it's like a beautiful gym. So it's like, why is no one going, right? But it's centralized here. So like downtown is dead center of our city.
Yeah.
And so there's a north side and a south side, and everybody it's the hub, right? And then in St. Louis, obviously, it's super east.
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
And so for whatever reason, it's just it's not a place that people hang as much.
Have you guys meandered that far out into the sticks of downtown here?
Not yet.
Not yet. I was out there. It's
pretty.
I stayed.
You've
in
been,
Airbnb.
yeah. You guys did Power and Light once, right?
Yes. Fucking awesome, man.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah. You can cuss on this podcast, by the way. Don't hesitate.
Okay. Cool.
You're good.
Yeah. It was cool, man. I will say, like, what part where we stayed in probably wasn't the best.
You Airbnb'd?
Yeah. I don't know what part we were in. It wasn't the best. Nice Airbnb, though.
Yeah. You go east of downtown.
But it was like one street. Everything else was super nice.
Sure.
And it was just this one street that was like, I don't know.
It's getting there on the east side. I live in northeast Kansas City, and so like my neighborhood's really nice.
Yeah.
You go one street over, not so nice, right? You go across a little bridge, it's a little different.
Mm-hmm.
But there's actually talks of, and we're saying, like, when I say there's talks, it's like it's definite that this is happening. It's just a matter of where they're putting it. But the Royals are going to get a new baseball stadium downtown.
I saw that. So they're going to move away from Arrowhead.
Correct, which is it was next door,
Yeah.
right? But there's just zero, community or economy that you could help. So when you have 82 games a year, right, that are going to be home, think about the level of which like you're bringing into your economy if you have things to do around it, right? And so there's no shops, there's no restaurants. I mean, it's literally on an island out there.
20, 30-minute drive to downtown from there?
7 minutes, dude. For me,
7.
I can get two. I can get like two passing it, right, without like doing all the turns to get into a parking lot, right? But it's legitimately when I know, like, I own an Airbnb, so I have to tell people like how close we are, right?
Yeah.
So it's exactly 7 minutes for me.
Okay.
But it's just straight highway.
Yeah.
And so there's literally nothing around it.
Yeah.
And it's
That's
like,
why I love Busch Stadium, dude.
Yeah,
It's
of course.
fucking beautiful.
I'll never forget when they were building that one. It was like I could touch the stadium from Highway 40.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yep.
They built it to like a foot away.
Yeah.
Well, it's the whole experience.
Yeah.
When you're down there, you have that. You have the one
Ballpark
like
Village.
Ballpark Village. Like everything is
That
within
second
walking
tier
distance.
just opened. How's that down there?
Cool. Badass restaurants. I don't know what they're called. We ate there before.
Mm-hmm.
Super good. And then I believe it's a hotel above it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
It's a
the
very nice
Lowe's
hotel.
Live by Lowe's is down there
Yes,
now,
yes.
right?
So
They've done
it's
some
cool.
events for Summer Smash there. Which, by the way, you guys know when Summer Smash is gonna be this year?
In the summer.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are worse. Usually the third weekend in June, but for our
Yeah,
listeners, Summer Smash is unlike any event you will ever go to. If you have the opportunity to get tickets, you should absolutely get a ticket. When it first started, Andy Frisella's vision for it was they hated that every single time they went to like any kind of event or expo that you would have to wait like hours in line to just like meet somebody that you wanted to meet, some kind of representative of the brand, whether it be an athlete or a coach or et cetera. And so you would just wait hours to just, get a picture and say and handshake. And they're like, dude, that's just not cool. Like, that's just not exactly the experience we want our following or our fans to have. So they throw their own party. They do it in St. Louis at their headquarters. You get to meet all of your favorite First Phorm people. They're all there. And I've been in the room when Andy's talking to all of them. And they absolutely will talk to you because if they try to big league you or be too cool,
See you later.
they are no longer with the brand.
Yeah.
Period.
I remember one year, maybe last year, 2 years ago, you were fucking sauce. You were standing on the
Absolutely.
sports chassis, dude.
Hey, we can talk about that.
Yeah, almost shut
That
it
almost
down,
got us
man. Sal
banned
was
for
pissed.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
funny.
Sal let me know I
Here's
almost
the-
got Summer Smash shut down based on standing on a sports chassis with a bottle of tequila. But you give somebody free bottles of tequila.
Yeah.
I will say that there's been a
There it is. Yes.
Hey, thanks Marissa for getting that photo with her phone.
There's actually a couple of funny things
Look
about
at Dylan,
this photo.
Dude. Dylan looks like he's not having a good time. Is
Like,
that Dylan?
Jeff,
Everybody who doesn't know where they're at.
Jeff is actually having the best time of his life. This girl hanging off the sports chassis is so sad. Her boyfriend just broke up with her or something.
Yeah. She can't see past Dylan's shoulders.
Bobby,
That's the problem.
our DM Bobby is having the best time. He loves life.
Yeah,
you know,
he's chilling.
Phil's also
Phil
having a
just
great
knows
time.
you're fucked.
Yeah.
Phil is like, you are dumb and you're gonna get in trouble.
Yeah, Phil's judging. But
Know
this,
that girl too.
this gal's thrown up.
Devin, yeah.
But what's interesting about our company is, you know, when me and Jeff started, we were one of 20 people, and our meetings back then were kind of, I mean, they were professional, but like we were just a tiny company. There wasn't like a lot of rules to what we were doing. Obviously, we took our job really seriously, but it was just kind of a, you know,
We'll have fun later.
We'll have,
Well,
yeah.
It
And
was a separation. It was business. We all show up on time. Notebook, 2 pens. I started, we had about 40, 45 employees.
Yeah.
And then as soon as the meeting was over, buckets of beer got brought out to the table.
They just arrived.
Mind you, I'm 19, so there was no drinking involved on my end. But,
sure.
While people were watching. Yeah.
Rumplemints. That's Kyle and Mike Taylor's fault. I'm a big fan. I actually like Rumplemints a lot.
Just sweet water. That's all
But yeah,
that
you
was.
get done with the meeting and then you get into the party mode. And if it was a Saturday meeting, you're probably ended up on the east side. And if you're from St. Louis or know of St. Louis well enough, east side, you cross the river into Illinois. That's where the TNA
excitement,
bars.
the excitement happens. Yeah, but that's the one thing.
That's a solid 10 years
That's
ago.
the one thing that's so weird about like going to Summer Smash now. It's like, you know, you interact with people who you don't know who the shit they are. You know, it's like, I don't know who you are, and they're telling us like where to go or what to do or something like that. And I'm like, hey, I'm Kyle. You know, nice to meet you. You know, and
We have nothing to do with any of the, you know, the pull off of the event. So me and Kyle don't, you know, you guys do. And for years we played a role in it, right? We played a part in it. I ran like the apparel sales one year randomly, you know, came up from Springfield and helped out with that. And to watch like the event get pulled off for a company that doesn't put on a ton of events, right? It is incredible how well run it is. So like if you are thinking about going, just know that like it's going to be first class from literally how they run it, from how the urinals will look, how your porta potties are going to look on the inside. Like they are cleaning all the time. I mean, they put on a first class event. And so like, it's not just a matter of like going because of the funness or whatever it may be. That's a word now, but last year there was, last few years, it's turned into more of like a concert series, I would say, in the sense of like, that's the main draw. You know, there used to be speakers. There was like a carnival year, one year. But I think they've really settled into the concerts because they've been such a blast, right? Pitbull was there last year, right? And then Diplo.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm not
Steve Aoki.
Steve Aoki 2 years ago.
Nelly,
we had Nelly,
Flo
Flo
Rida.
Rida. Nelly's been back a handful of times. But was there somebody else I'm missing? Was last year was just Diplo and Pitbull, correct? And I heard Pitbull was like the shit. I heard he was like unbelievable entertainer. So I don't know what they have in store this year, but I would just say to anybody listening, if you get an opportunity, they sell out in minutes.
It's
so
Mr. 305.
Yeah, I mean, dude, Mr. 305. Also, he's got other words.
It's Pitbull. Is I think how he says it. Pitbull.
I mean, dude, if I shaved my head and wore those sunglasses, it'd be an awesome Halloween costume.
Do you remember the first Summer Smash when they freaking were lighting fires in the middle? It was kind of like we're just going to throw some stuff at the wall and see what
Some of the
sticks.
bikes?
Yes.
See what happens.
I sat and I watched Rob Bailey, Marissa
Tattoo his
tattoo
hands.
Rob Bailey's
Hard
hands
work.
in Andy's office, and then I watched them light the parking lot on fire. I was like, oh my God, what is going on right now?
fuck am I?
Yeah, dude, when you
We've cranked it down a little bit on the you know, dangerous side.
the
since
parties
that
that like you throw back then, it's just like, dude, you don't know what to do, right? So it's like we had like a team of motorcycle stunt guys that were out there doing fun stuff and doing street tricks and stuff like that. And it's like, what if they mess up?
Yeah.
We got just 100 people sitting right there that could
Throw a bike into the crowd.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, like, dude, that's a real fear. We
somebody
didn't
have, like-
have a fence. Like, there wasn't like a metal guarded fence.
Didn't somebody have a choke on stage? Like they had like an eating
Oh,
contest
yeah.
too. and they, like,
White
some-
Castle
Yeah,
eating contest,
dude.
and a girl.
There you go.
was
Like,
shoveling
what
such
are
a
we
hard
doing?
way, yeah.
A White Castle
Live
eating
and learn.
contest,
We
right?
were watching. We're like, she's messing around.
No, her
It was
face
real.
is purple. Yeah.
Did they do the? So they also do mud runs beforehand. Like it's a 3-day event, typically. And so like, did we do a mud run last year?
We don't
No.
do mud runs anymore. We do a 30 for the kids workout.
Oh, okay, that's great.
They did a 30 for the kids workout at one of the local high schools, and everybody got together.
First Phorm's designated charity that they started.
Yep. So it's honestly, I like it better than the mud runs because
Sure.
mud runs, the problem is not problem, but the thing is you're going at different heats. You don't get the interaction because ultimately Summer Smash
One big
is about the
workout's a lot
people.
more fun. Yeah, you
Bro,
want to be with the
Yes.
community for
And
sure.
you're all on a football field. It's everybody is, and you're sweating together. You're dying together. It's hot. You got that, the turf little black pebbles all over you. It's like uncomfortable, but everybody's doing it for the same reason. So you have that.
I got a good
interaction.
45-minute walk in last time I went.
I believe that.
Yeah.
One of my
sweating together, dying together.
Sweating out the booze.
Yeah.
The night before.
All right, so guys, on this podcast, we're going to go over a few questions that we have. We do podcasts where we call it BROTALK or 5 good questions, and I think you guys will be able to add some to this because these are not just pertaining to us, but they're also pertaining to you guys since you guys have worked for our company for such a long time. The first of which being, how did you start at S2, and what made you decide to burn the boats and make this your career forever and always?
I'll take it away, man.
Story. Go ahead.
So I was working at Planet Fitness, and I got into fitness after a breakup, of course, right? That's like a common thing.
Got to get the abs. Got to get
dude,
the abs.
I
dog.
grew up as a chubby kid, really had no confidence. So I was like, I'm going to work out. Watched YouTube videos, just fell in love with fitness. So I started working at a gym, right? That's like the progression. And I was working front desk at Planet Fitness, and this dude was always there, right? He was always there. And he pulls in, he backs into a spot. He had a Mustang at a time.
Like a douche.
Like a douche, right? He comes in.
How old was Colin at this time?
22, 23.
So you went from this gym where you saw Kyle powerlifting to Planet Fitness?
Well, because it was the biggest gym, and you understand, you got to work out where the people are.
Yeah,
That's where
makes
all the
sense.
people were.
Hey,
and it was a football
I've
throwaway.
I've had a Planet Fitness.
Hold on, is
membership.
this the
I'm not
Edwardsville Planet
hating.
Fitness?
Two-story
First,
monster.
The Edwardsville Planet Fitness is awesome. It's its own building. It's like multi-level. It's
massive.
cool.
It's massive.
Quality Planet Fitness.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
it's quality. So he backs in with his Mustang, and I'm 18, 19 at the time. And I'm like, yo, dude, I fucks with your car, right?
Yeah.
You guys know what that means?
I do. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
You
Well,
enjoyed it.
You're right. So this, yeah. Well,
You enjoyed it.
I like it. I thought his car was cool. I said, hey, I fucks with your car.
Yeah.
And he gets pissed. Like his face turns super red. He's like, what? I was like, I fucks with your car, dude. And he thought I meant like I fucked with your car. I was like, no, I fucks with your car. So
The delineation in my head
It's
didn't
FUX.
Yeah.
Yeah.
different.
happen. Well, he
Right?
didn't spell it for me.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyways,
I would have definitely been like,
yeah.
that meme of that guy like. Sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
you're good. No, he was pissed. Calm down for sure. And then a few days later, Dave Watts comes in for membership, and he's like, "Hey man, you want a job?" I'm like, "Where at, dude?" So I go over to Supplement Superstores, and
Dave Watts is very convincing.
yeah. So I came over to the store. It was
Yeah.
actually my first time shopping there, and then had an interview, and Dave Watts was not there, so he interviewed me, and it was just like we came together, and then he was cool. Then I started working there, man, and
You're
I
like,
realized,
dude, you got that Mustang.
yeah,
Yeah.
the dude with the Mustang with the
The
red
dude with
hair,
the Mustang.
the red hair.
It was brand new.
It was a cool
I did
car,
bunch
but-
of stuff. It was
I'm not
nice.
hating at all, man.
No, it was cool. It was cool. But to answer your question,
Your douchiness has nothing to do with your car, Colin.
Had nothing.
it added to it. It added to it for sure. It added to it. But yeah, had the interview, and slowly over time, I realized like this is not just a fun job where I get discounts on supplements. And I think 6-7 months in, I was like, you know what? Like I have an opportunity here, going to the meetings, having like Colin helping me out. I was like, I'm going all in. So fucking dropped out of school, dropped out of college, and just went all in. And now,
What year was that?
2000. Shit, I don't know that.
2018?
6 years ago.
6 years ago.
6.5 years
So
ago.
2017, 2016,
yeah,
somewhere in there.
Yeah, right after I graduated high school. Went to college, dropped out, and just went full time. I was like, you know what? I'm going to make this work. And if I don't make it work, then fuck, I don't know what I'm going to do.
You're like one of the
So-
OG like originals from an era that like me and Kyle are like post working
Yeah.
for corporate, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm always just like, so who's like a player now?
But
Yeah.
that's
because there's guys, and then there's like the guys that everybody thinks are going to do really well long term,
Right.
And it's just not everybody. And so it's one of those things where I remember you coming up and being like, oh shit, okay,
Yeah.
we need to pay attention,
you also watch First Phorm go from old building to new building. you know, which I'm
yeah.
saying is like, it's very, I'm sure during that time frame of your life, it's easy to look at that and be like, this is probably going to work out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Expectations change a little bit.
Yeah, it blows my mind. Like people still can't see the big picture and believe. It's like, what the fuck? We're building 2 more buildings. Like we got this beautiful building. We're doing all these great things, and like you still have. It's not a belief for the company. It's a belief in yourself.
Themselves. Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. At the end of the day, the way that it gets different is when things grow to that level and you have that many people, you start to see how insignificant you feel.
Yeah.
And like, how come, you know, me, you know, dotting my I's and crossing my T's, you know, on this thank you card, for example, how does this drop in the bucket really make a difference in this giant ocean of a pool? Here, you know, we have a little pond. And so like everybody still feels the weight of their decisions, you know? And so that's really, it's so much easier to hide, you know what I'm saying? When you're so big. And so it can be difficult and daunting, I'm sure, to be a new guy and see all these people that have been doing it for 10 years and say, oh, I could be like them. Like, damn, I mean, the level of commitment is so different. Does that make sense? We have a guy named Freddie Ford who works for us. He's been one of our original guys. He's a district manager now. And now we're getting that new, you know, line of people coming in that are brand new. And they're like, dude, I can't be as good as Freddie. I'm like, dude, he's only been here 5 years.
Yep.
Like, it's nothing.
And that ain't shit. 5 years, like, dude.
Yeah. You've been over, you're 6+. You know what I mean? And so it's like, he's been here 5 and some change. And it's like, dude, that was not that long ago. But for most 18 to 24-year-olds, like, I was literally I was literally just becoming a teenager 5 years ago. They can't see the forest, you know, past the trees, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your story?
Man,
Tell
so
him,
I was a customer a little bit longer than Jake was. So I was a customer at the Shiloh Supplement Superstores. John Quintal and some other guys who are OGs who are not with the company anymore. But
Shout
I
out
was
Shiloh, Illinois.
Shout out. I was a fat kid my whole life. I mean, literally, I was a center in high school. Then I was a wrestler. So I would go from, they'd be like, hey, you need to gain weight for football. And then I would wrestle 215. So I'd go from 260, 270 down to 215. And just through some, 4 years of doing that. And
created some good diet habits for sure.
The old ice cube and 1 apple a day was literally my diet for wrestling. Like literally that.
I love that you include the ice cube.
Yeah, the ice cubes counted because you were chewing it.
Doesn't it piss you off now that you know you can have as many ice cubes as you want?
I know. If it fits your ice cubes.
Yeah, man.
But I went through that, really bad diet habits, developed some bad eating issues. And then after my senior year, I tore both labrums and rotator cuffs and stopped playing sports. When you stop playing sports and then you eat like you're still playing sports, I was almost 300 pounds, super unhappy, super unhealthy, self-conscious. And the guys at S2 helped me out. Like they helped me out a ton, helped me with my diet. I kind of thought I knew how to train. I did to an extent, but they really ultimately, I remember a conversation with, I believe it was John, and he was like, hey man, he's like, what are you trying to do? I was like, well, I'm trying to get strong and jacked. And he's like, well, like, are you trying to be a power lifter? I'm like, no. He's like, are you trying to be like, what are you trying to look like? And I'm like, oh, I want to be like, and I'm 290, like, and 5'10". I'm not tall. 290 didn't look good. So basically he had a hard conversation with me. He was like, you need to lose weight. And so long story short, lost 70 pounds. That's when Kyle started seeing me in the store, my all whites, painting outfit, going to college, working full time as a drywall painter, and then, doing that full time. And, then he offered me a job via Facebook, text, and interview. He's like, hey, what are you doing for work? Et cetera, after we had met in the gym that one time and then in the store. And I started with him. Well, whenever I started with him, he doesn't know this, but I'd already applied with a guy who he took over for years prior, like 17 years old, like in obviously 17-year-old fat kid.
Kind of left you a bad taste there? Or?
No, I was fine. 17-year-old fat kid. Why would they hire me in the first place? I don't know. I was just kind of looking for a job. And so then when it came back around, I didn't realize it, but like the help that they had put into me was the education, right? They educated me on how to get results.
Yeah, empowered you.
And then I helped my brother lose weight. So in the process of helping my brother lose weight, I realized like, this is what I want to do. And I can do this, like, because I had instilled that belief by executing. And that's what a lot of people miss, that component.
Coming in with no imposter syndrome is pretty awesome.
Well, not no imposter syndrome. Because when you're 19 trying to help a 35, 40-year-old woman with 3 kids and you're trying to relate to her and say, well, I was fat and I lost weight, so you can do it too. She's looking at you going, well, of course you did it. You have no responsibility except for losing weight. Like that was your one.
Oh, if we all work the store, it's because you're a guy.
Yeah. So that's the thing is like, there was definitely some imposter syndrome that you have to work through and do that. But I helped my brother lose weight and started with the job. And then whenever I burned the boats, to circle to the end of that question, was whenever I realized that I had the opportunity to impact Collin day one. Like that guy who, man, it's getting emotional because like I would walk through restaurants and I would be self-conscious, man, of people judging me for being overweight. Like, nobody's paying attention to me walking to the bathroom at fucking Texas Roadhouse.
No.
But I would think that. Like, I would feel that. And I would be like, this dude needs to change. And so luckily I realized that I could do it, took action, did it, and then I had the opportunity to help other people do it. So
it's special, man. And I think that people really like at times can mock, like what we do on a daily basis and try not to, take it serious or throw stones at it, because it's like we say, yeah, man, we get to change people's lives. And there's always somebody in the back of the, room that's like, oh, okay, dude. You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, man, it sounds like you've never really done that.
Yep.
Because if you've ever actually taken some time to pour into somebody and watch that energy change and watch them change the image that they have of themselves and watch that belief start to grow, you're done. Like you're so like, I can do this forever. It's the easiest decision you can ever make when you really pour into somebody and watch that grow. And dude, I'm so happy you shared that, because it's just so difficult for people to understand truly like the weight and the gravity of what we get to do.
Right, dude. I mean? And during that time in your life, man, so I hired you. I hired you out of doing the drywall thing, and I had just came into running a new store. The guy that was previously in the store had some issues that he had to go take care of, so he got fired. And I fired almost the entire staff. And so it was just me, John Quintal, and Josh Dowdy, basically, and bringing you onto the team and having, you there and that core of you and John that actually cared about people. It was like the launch pad for my career, because that year we won Most Improved Store. We really turned around the culture that was in Edwardsville, and it kind of set my life. Well, it set both of our lives.
You won Manager of the Year that year.
We set both of our lives into, a good trajectory with this company. And it was all because that emotion that you just shared with us is, a driving factor that made you care about every single employee. And you just believed in what we were doing, and believing in what you were doing. It's led you to where you are now. Led you to be, a successful member of the first Phorm team, led you to be a manager, at Supplement Superstores, the accolades that you received there. And so,
you've been instrumental ever since. You know what I mean?
It's been cool, man.
I appreciate that.
It's kind of cool to think about, to think back on that, because, it was such a long time ago, but it wasn't all that long ago. It was only a decade ago. It happens fast, dude.
But man, the further we get away from the starting line, it's fun to watch the ripple effects of things.
For sure.
Because here we go. We got Kyle recruits Collin and hires him, right? Now, Kyle, tell your story about how you got started, because this doesn't happen if this doesn't happen. Think about it.
Yeah. Well, I think I've shared this on the podcast before, but one of my best friends, Mike Taylor, got a job working at Supplement Superstores, and that was in 2011 or 2010. We worked at a bar together, we lived together, and he was the one that kind of pushed me into wanting to work here. I remember being I was doing an internship for a summer, and I was hating it because I was working so many hours, and I was driving a lot, and the industry that I was working in, I didn't really care for. And I remember I called Mike and I said, hey, man, if you can give me that job, I would still be interested in it. And he said, I can get it for you. And so I moved back and started working for Supplement Superstores. And at the time I was cleaning out for closed houses. So this is at the end of the, financial crisis. So there was still a lot of foreclosings happening on houses. I was subcontracting through a company called Cyprex, and I'd go in and clean out those foreclosed houses. And I was also still bartending and working in the bars. And then on top of that, I was doing, Supplement Superstores. But the time where I realized it's time to really kind of burn the boats. It was, honestly, if I was going to say one specific point, it was probably just the accumulation of listening to Andy talk in meetings a couple of times, where I was like, what am I doing? I'm not going to clean out for closed houses forever. I'm not going to, work in a bar forever. And I can't work as many hours as I need to be working in the store. I'm going to quit these other two jobs. And mind you, when I'd clean out for closed houses, it was thousands of dollars per doing that. And I was doing a couple of them a week, and I was making a lot of money doing that. And then I was also making pretty good money at the bar. So I quit my two better,
much more.
I quit my two better paying jobs so I could work full time at Supplement Superstores. And I look back on that and I'm like, man, everybody around me at that time was like, are you dumb? And I was looking at things like through this prism. I can learn way more at Supplement Superstores. And yeah, I might not get paid up front at Supplement Superstores as far as like a lot, but I know that the higher end potential, my ceiling is just way, way higher, at Supplement Superstores. And it might take me a decade to get there, but I'll be glad, that I made that choice, because eventually Cyprex stopped, giving out contracts for closed houses. Everybody knows the guy that's been bartending in a bar for too long. You don't want to be that guy. And it ended up working out for me. And I'm glad that I did. And like I said, I think that if I was going to say one person or one instant that brought me to that, it was just the culmination of meeting Andy. Dude, at this point, Andy had like absolutely nothing. He was just like trying to figure it out. And now that I'm in the place that I'm at now, it's funny to look back and think about, where he was at in his life at that point, because we were just, as a company, we were just trying to figure things out. There was no first Phorm. I mean, I think we had
the thing is that Andy from day one always had it figured out in the way that he spoke. And so you can't see it yet, but it's already happened in his mind. And we have all kinds of proof of that, and his vision and what he cast and how it actually went down. And it's also unreal. I mean, it's all real to us now, but like exactly where the new headquarters is, like, I was definitely in the meeting when he was talking about like where it's going to be, what it's going to look like. I remember all the details of it. You know what I'm saying? The only thing that, like, we're talking like offices overlooking the gym. I mean, like, all that shit was said.
Fucking wild.
All the shit was said.
I was watching the meeting that he did on a flat screen TV that we had in the back of Springfield North.
A 32-inch Vizio.
When he said that I'm going to fund guys to go open up stores in Kansas City. And I mean, this is probably 2011, 2012. Mm-hmm. And I looked at that and I said, I'm going to do that. And I just went all in, and I was like, I'm going to work. In our job, the unfortunate thing that about our job is that it's all about volume. So if I get myself to a certain level of quality of interactions I can have with people, it's just about increasing volume beyond that point. So the more gym owners I can talk to, the more trainers I can talk to, the more, customers that I can help, the more, people I can go sample out to, the more I'm going to get more return on investment. And that's just kind of the way that I looked at it beyond that point. And I said, I'm just going to do more than everybody else. And if I do more than everybody else, I'm going to be the guy that goes to Kansas City. It took, 5 years past that, but we still made it happen, which is pretty cool.
Well, I think part of that is the more isn't just more for you. What you did well was you developed people below you. So you did it really well with me and John, and then you went to South County, then you went to Brentwood, then and then you became DM for a while. Like, you did it with the people below you. You replicated yourself to the point where, because you can only help so many people, you can only talk to so many gym owners and all these things. And inside business, like, if you're not leading people well, and Jake's seen evolutions of Colin's leadership. Jake's seen when I tried to lead like Andy, which not everybody can pull off. No, but he's seen it. Like, he's seen me come down hard on people, hard to the point where it's like I look back and I'm like, man, I feel a little guilty. Like, did they deserve to be reprimanded and talked to? Yes, but not in the way that I did.
Yeah,
right. But that's how I was coached, and I responded well to it. Like,
certainly, yeah, me too.
Fixed what I needed to fix, or helped me. So I thought, well, everybody gets coached like this. Well, Kyle, he had moments where he go off, but like ultimately his coaching style worked really well, and I'm sure he has done moments of poor leadership, but he did that really well, replicating himself. And it taught me what to do and what not to do to an extent.
You have to be a good leader. I'm almost certain of this now, is you just have to have seen a lot of different situations. And by situations, I mean, you have to have managed a lot of different people, because until you've managed a lot of different people and you go, oh, that's that type of person, that's the way that I need to come at that type of person, you can't really effectively lead somebody in a blanket way, right? Mm-hmm. So you can cast a message in a blanket way like Andy does, where he's saying, this is what we're doing, and he has one kind of tone. But if you're managing people individually, like one-on-one, you have to be really specific with the way that you're handling each specific person. And if you haven't seen a lot of different people in your lifetime, somebody who's sensitive, somebody who's, unemotional, somebody who's, there's a lot of different types of people out there. And if you haven't managed all of them and gone through, situations with all of those different types of people, you're probably going to be an ineffective manager. And like I said, leadership is just, a lot of it is just kind of copying at first. You're like, okay, this is what, you responded well to Andy. I responded well to Andy. Okay, I'm going to turn around and I'm just going to be Andy. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you're not Andy. You know what I'm saying? You're Colin. You can't do that.
Right.
People see through that because it's bullshit.
Yeah, everybody sees you like, hey, we heard where you heard that from.
Yeah.
You guys keep
You know what I'm
talking,
saying?
I'm gonna go take a pee.
We had a DM, whenever I was coming up, that would do the same thing with Andy, and it was like, dude, I drink with you. I know exactly how you are.
Yeah.
You know? And so when you start performing and stop being yourself is when you start to lose people, right? My story is a little different, and I think the further back you go with our companies like Lineage, the different stories you're going to hear, right? I got hired by Chris Klein, and he didn't exist in that sense, so he didn't touch Springfield at all, right? So I just drive by a store that looks like trash. It's our old logo. It's the one that's on this hat that I'm wearing. It's the Bears logo. Like that's the actual store sign at the time. I'm in college. It's October of 2018. I'm sorry, 2007.
Yeah, I was saying, what the fuck?
Yeah, I was thinking 2008, and then I was like, no, but yeah, 2007 is literally the year, right? I graduated high school in 06, so there's my age. So I'm looking through, and I'm like looking for a job that like, oh, this place would probably have like free supplements.
Yeah.
Right. I get a good deal on supplements, like you were saying, Jake, and it's a cool job to have while you're in college. I was also managing our student gym, and so I thought that'd be a good complimentary job. And again, all it was about for me was just a selfish, I would like free supplements.
Yep.
So I walk in, there's a massive dude working behind the counter. And when I say working, I mean like sitting in a computer chair, lounged back on the computer, like on MySpace or something like that, right? Some more fun aging stuff right there. So he stands up. I'm like, hey, dude, are you guys hiring? He's like, we're always looking for good people, And I'm like, what kind of benefits do you get working here? Do you get like free supplements? He's like, honestly, man, we sell stuff so cheap. Sound familiar? We sell stuff so cheap. Like it's, honestly, sometimes it's like the exact price that we sell it for is what you get it for. But there's other stuff we get a better deal on. And he literally showed me there was like a book that had the different pricings on it. And he just showed me. Yeah, it's not the same now, right?
Yeah.
Application was like a piece of paper application and not something online. I fill it out and hand it back to him right there on the spot. And I never hear from him again. And I don't even call to check up on it, right? Like, I don't know. I just didn't even, and I didn't buy anything there, and I didn't go back to shop there. Just walked in and said that, and I let him know on the thing, on the application, that I managed the school gym. Well, come to find out, Chris Klein used to manage school gym too. And so he was thinking, oh, like this guy can, infiltrate this gym and get people to come to our store and this and that. So I get a call in January of 2008, 4 months after applying. That's how many applications they got. I got a call after 4 months later after applying. So they're like, you still want the job? And I was like, yeah, I'd take that job.
You're like, who is this?
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I mean, like, and Chris, if this is how he talks, is like, yeah, and you could, if you want to come up here and work couple shifts, you can. The job's cake, dude. Like, you're not gonna, it's not gonna be like really hard. And that's really like how he sold it to me. So I try to find it. This is awesome. I MapQuested directions.
Yes.
Having a car in college was a luxury, by the way, of course. And so I like drove all the way out, like 15 minutes from campus. Might as well have been an hour. And met him at the Springfield South might as well have been like an office.
It actually is the size of this room.
Legitimately. So I go in. This is, I won't get into too much any more excruciating detail, but I never got interviewed. I just was there for my first day of training when I walked in. And that was me sitting in a folding chair, and a regular came in and sat down with us. And all three of us just like chatted for an hour and a half, which is obviously like still a staple of our stores, is just, people coming in to hang out. It's kind of a locker room vibe. And we're happy to see you when you walk in, right? And so that was what was going on, and I just didn't see it. And it was exactly of what you would think as far as it being like a blow-off job. So I was never in any monthly meetings or any weekly meetings. There was no expectations of me. There was no number system. It was just like, help the people when they come in, And all the articles that I read to learn were all articles that Andy wrote. So like Whey Protein 101 article, if you remember that one.
Yep.
And so it was cool. And anyways, the time I learned to burn the boats was very different. I had gotten I had started to see like what Andy was doing because we would get the emails from Jason Kane and Andy down in Springfield, and they were starting to grow First Phorm, and it was fun to watch First Phorm get launched. Like that was cool. That was part, I got to see that. But again, like you didn't take any of it serious. You're 19, 20 years old. Like Andy being like, the first jugs of level 1 guys set on the side of the bottle, the world's best protein.
Level 1 light.
Pretty bold.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty bold
Well,
thing.
we already know what the energy drinks were going to be called.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it said the world's best protein on the side, and it like described why. And of course, at the time, I just like didn't have any grasp, right? I was just kind of like, okay, dude, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you're not even in a magazine yet.
Yeah.
Like, no one I know has ever taken your stuff. So it's just pretty bold, right? But that's always how Andy's been, and it's like obviously worked out really well for him. He thought big, and so he puts that on there and backs it up with quality products. And, we had watermelon and tropical punch were the two first flavors of Formula One. And they were good, compared to their, obviously like now we're spoiled, right? But back then that was really awesome. And so I burned the boats in a moment when I decided, like whenever I graduated, okay, I'm going to like become a manager here. And it was watching the growth of the company, and we had our first ever awards banquet, and I didn't win anything. And I remember thinking in my head, like, dude, I think I'm really good at this. I think I'm just as good as everybody else. Why the hell didn't I get recognized, And at the time, we were very much a sales-driven place. Like, it wasn't so good on customer service. And so that was where my gift was on sales side of things and relating with customers. And I was also grew up a chubby kid and wanted to be lean and so on and so forth, and could relate to these people that are trying to get in better shape. And, dude, I'll never forget, like, sitting up there, they awarded the first ever manager of the year to Tyler Jackson, RIP. Mm-hmm. And that dude, like, I was like, man, I know I can beat this guy, And so the next year we went and we won different awards. Kyle's won every award. I've won every award throughout the whole thing. But I just remember thinking in my head, like,
Core Values Award.
Yeah, I genuinely was like looking for the recognition more than I was looking for the career, which is kind of sad but true. Yeah. It's just the truth. I really cared about, getting credit and being recognized and being the best and all that was what mattered to me more. And so even whenever Andy was talking about opening up a franchise, they had already like tapped me to be like a salesperson with First Phorm, and I was going to go around the country and get half the country with Sal. And the other half of the country was going to be me. And I would get like a company car and be like an account exec, for First Phorm and sell it. And I was like,
you'd be Brian Teach.
Yeah, I was totally loving that idea. You know what I mean? I was totally loving that idea. I was like, I could do that for sure. All my family and friends were in St. Louis. Like, this is what I'm going to do. So I didn't even entertain Kansas City, to be honest with you. And so I got a call from Andy after like Springfield started to come on, and Kyle was getting recognized. Mike Taylor got recognized. We sent people up like Robbie Muhlenbrock, Steve Pona, dudes that did well in the company for a while. And I get a call from Andy, and he's like, who the hell else is going to go Kansas City? He's like, and I'm like, dude, I don't know. Like, I never really thought about it. I've always wanted to be the First Phorm guy, whenever First Phorm starts to take off, And he's like, Jeff, shut up. I'm trying to help you make a good life decision right now. And I was like, okay. And he's like,
and get you out of my hair.
Yeah. He's like, I don't really want you to move to St. Louis. No, but he was like, dude, I'm trying to help you make a good life decision. And dude, I'm glad he did, because I didn't think about anything else after that. That's all I thought about was just, how do I get my own?
How long from that conversation up until you moved to Kansas City?
A really depressing 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah. And I was 1 foot out the door from that day on. So it's like I wasn't investing in relationships down there. Yeah. I wasn't like thinking about buying a house down there. I wasn't even like letting myself be present to the time and enjoy it, But I was also told like I was going to be gone at the very latest by like summer of 2013.
See, that's the deadlines, man. That's what fucks people up.
That was the Andy Frisella PW like we were talking about.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. The big thing, we did learn a lot in that time frame is you definitely don't. Here's the thing. You don't give out timelines, and it's not because you don't want to hit those timelines. It's because business is dictated by cash flow. Business is dictated by revenue. And it's like, yeah, I would love to go do this by this time frame. Yeah, I would love for us to have this thing done by this time frame, but it's highly dictated upon.
And it's one thing to say, guys, like in leadership, when you don't give people timelines and in reality, false hope at times. It's one thing to say like, hey, we're going to open this store, or we're going to open this building. I was told directly, Jeff, you're moving at this time, which is like, very different. You're talking to an individual employee and they're planning their life around it. And so, man, I for sure forgive them for that and all that. It's just one of those things where it's one of the things where I could have taken something so personal and quit, which I definitely thought about a million times, right? Because it's like, that wasn't fair. Who cares now? Who gives a shit now? Right? Like, I couldn't care less. But at the time, it was everything to me. You know what I mean? And so it's funny to think back on those times, but it's just like, dude, I always try to tell my staff over and over and over again, our team here, like, guys, do not think always like a year ahead or 2 years ahead or your opportunity. Like, just be where your feet are and look around you and be super grateful for the people that you get to work with every day, because these are the good old days. You just don't even know it yet. You know?
What's something you guys would go back and tell yourselves? What advice would you give a young Collin, a young Jake?
The stuff I just said.
Yeah,
back in the day. But no, I'm saying something that's specific to you guys, specific to your story.
I would literally piggyback off of what he just said about, hey, it's going to take longer than you think, right? And, I always had this idea that, hey, I'm going to be where I want to be in a year from now. And I set these timelines to, hey, I want to make X amount of money. I want to be in this position. And it's going to take a lot longer than you think, right? But also, understanding that time fucking goes fast. So you need to be urgent, and you can't keep kicking the can down the road, because, old me, I would work towards something, but I don't think I was as urgent as I could have been.
Like, if you didn't get the result as quickly as you wanted, it dictated your pace maybe a little bit?
Correct.
Okay.
And it would hold me back for sure. I would have, get hot, then get cold, and get hot, and get cold. And, looking back, it's like, every day matters. And if you want to get to that end goal, you got to make sure you're just fucking winning one day at a time. And I think so many people get caught up in the end goal, and they don't focus on the process to get there.
Right. Results driven versus process driven.
Exactly.
Also, age speeds up time. When you're 22, a year feels a lot different than when you're 32. So it's funny how
no one ever really thinks like that, but it's the craziest concept. Like, that was a 22nd of your life, right? Now it's a 30th of my life. And now it's like a year seems much shorter, just because it's literally
and you're also looking at things through the perspective of, like, well, high school was 4 years long. So high school was a long time. Like, I was in high school a long time. And if something's going to take me 4 years, I mean, like, dude, that's a long time.
And that's literally what you look at. That's exactly what you look at it through is college or high school, of like, dude, I was a different person 4 years ago. And it's like, it's not like that post college. You're post high school. You know, it's just not the same. Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
What about you, dude?
Man, I'd say two things come to mind. One, going back to kind of what you guys said, perspective, like keeping perspective of like what you get to do. So he said it multiple times, and people may or may not have picked up on it. When Jeff says, I get to work with these people and I get to help customers and I get to make this impact, he means it. And he's not just saying it to be like a leader, no, he means like he gets to work with Kyle every single day, right? Like, I get to work with Jake. I get to travel for my job. I get this opportunity. We were having this conversation yesterday. I was like, bro, this is our career. Like, this is what we get to do. We get to come to Kansas City and go make friends. Like, how cool is that? How amazing is that?
We sell, things that help people in air conditioning every day in the middle of, like, it's like, this is the cakest of all, like, ways of you can help people and make money. It's crazy.
Well, and so a practical way to do that, like perspective wise, that has worked for me is identifying what I'm grateful for and like writing it down. Like, actually physically writing it down, not in my notes section. Like, I like to write it with a pen or, pen and paper. Like, that helps me personally, and doing that on a daily basis. Like I pick three things. Like, I know there's a million different ways of journaling and this and daily stoic and all these things. Cool. Do pick one, find one that you can do that resonates with your life and that you can build into your daily routine, and do it. And it can be quick. Like, my daily gratitude is not 18 minutes long. It's like, sometimes it is 3 minutes. It's a minute per. I write it down and I think about it, and I get to do that.
Even 3 minutes, I think, is impressive, dog.
Yeah.
And you know what? For the right guy, 3 minutes is a good day.
That's impressive.
That might even have a shower in it too. Yeah. But and then the second thing, it's on you. Like, it's your fault. Like, everything's your fault. You are the cause of it. So, like, the outcome is caused by the actions that you've taken or not taken, right? Like, there are uncontrollable factors and yada yada. But we always talk about in our companies the one guy or the one thing, the one asterisk. Well, you can't live and die by that. you have to focus on the things you can control.
Right. I know a guy that did it this way, and he didn't have to work hard at all.
Yeah.
And you're
We
like,
all know
yeah.
that guy who can eat a pizza and be shredded.
Well,
I'm not that guy.
No, it's like, dude, everywhere someone, it's something we've talked about a lot lately in our company, and it's everywhere somewhere in their journey, right? Some people are blessed with some natural skills, right? But for you to really like level up in life and to go into more responsibilities and stuff, there's going to be so much discomfort along the way that people just don't understand. It's that like some things really come natural to you, and that's where you usually lean into, right? Like that's where your career starts, or that's where you start to make the decision of I'm going to go all in because you're like, dude, I'm good at this, right? And then you get to a new responsibility and you have to have a new skill that you're just not good at. You know what I'm saying? For some people, that's just like posting on social media, right? Some coworkers, like they just do not like doing it. There's other people that don't like sales. They don't like talking to people. You know, there's other people that have no operational skills and they don't like to do anything in the back. Like mopping the floor is the hardest thing. That's me. Just dumb shit like that. You know what I'm saying? But it's funny because like that's where people quit. It's like, oh, so stuff that doesn't naturally come easy for you, you're going to have to get really uncomfortable with yourself. You're going to have to start working at things that aren't completely natural to you, and it's going to be really uncomfortable along the way, and it's not going to be fun, and it's going to feel like work every single time. And if you don't work at it, you're just going to keep being the same person. And so a lot of people max out as being like a really good salesperson, right? Or they can't lead a team, you know what I'm saying? Because they don't like to lead themselves in every aspect. And so like you can't just be like they're really good at this person and like that to be, you know, for you to be a complete employee or for you to level up in life, like you really have to understand the friction's coming at some point, right? The guy that gets abs and he doesn't have to try hard, eventually his metabolism is going to die out. It's going to catch up with them. And they're going through it for the first time. We had one of our DJs, her name's Jenny Matthews. She's one of our like ambassadors for our brand. She's on the 213 Flashpoint right now. And she's like, Jeff, I'm 40 and I've been like a string bean my whole life. And she's like, I've had 2 kids. Like I just now can't get away with anything anymore. Yeah. And she's like, I'm struggling mentally hard because I've never had to do this. I'm like, welcome. I was 12, you know, like I was welcome to when I was 7 years old, you know what I mean? Which is funny as hell, but that's just genetics. You know what I mean? So everybody's going to come to it eventually. It's just a matter of, you know, pay now or pay later. Right.
Well, and I think the skills, developing those skills, you have to go out of your way. Like we have so much resources when it comes to podcasts and books and all these things. Like you can find a way to develop skills. And this is funny. So I like stories, but before I got hired with Kyle, okay, mind you, a kid, fat his whole life, self-conscious, like couldn't do well with ladies. Let's be real. At 18 years old, that's what you're thinking about. How do I pick up girls? So when I go to college, I'd go to parties and I'd be like, and me and my best friend at the time, he was also a fat kid, super big into gaming. You know what I'm talking about. And we go to these parties and we need to figure out a way where we can talk to chicks. Like that was like our strategy. Like how do we do this? So this is so funny because it leads perfectly into S2 and First Phorm. So we'd start going to the party and we realized if we talked to all the guys at the party first and made friends with them, that now we're Colin and Mike, the guys. Like we're those guys. Like
good dudes.
Hey, what's up, man? How, you know, thanks so much for bringing us to the party, et cetera. Well, okay, well, how do we take it to that next level? So then we started going by McDonald's and spend like $5-10 and we'd bring McChickens and McDoubles to the party. So we'd walk in and we'd be like, yo, hey, whose party is this? And they'd be like, oh, it's
You're literally
Jeff's.
adding value to the party.
Yes. And so we'd be like, oh, we got a couple extra sandwiches from McDonald's. We snagged a few. Does anybody want any? And then we did that every once in a while with alcohol too.
I was about to say, if you did that to me, I'd be like, can you bring me beer next time?
Yeah, who the fuck is this guy?
Buy a
So
cup.
we did it with alcohol. So anyways, it created this where we would show up with stuff and we'd make friends with all the dudes. And then when we talk to girls, imagine I'm talking to a girl, Jake's friends with her. He's like, oh, dude, that's Colin. He's the man. You got to talk to him.
They all think highly of you guys.
We learned how to develop the skill of socially interacting with people by necessity of wanting to hang out with females.
Get
like
laid.
literally, that's like
Just say it, Colin. You want to do that?
I got a wife. I love her to death. But that was this 18-year-old Colin. That's what my thought process. That's where I was. But it was forced to develop the skill. Is the whole point.
Let's go back to it. I mean, dude, at the very beginning of all this, and what makes you special, Colin, is that you were very intentional about what you wanted, and you made a plan, and you worked the plan, and it was also authentic. You did like hanging out with those guys. You weren't actually like, this sucks having to pretend to be friends with these dudes.
Right.
You didn't. You enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you made new friends. I'm sure you're still friends with some of them to this point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's freaking awesome, dude.
They all became customers vest too.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, dude.
Helped his career.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. And dude, also I will say this too, like Colin's grown up a lot in front of me and Kyle, and it's been fun to watch. And dude, your relationship with your wife is awesome. I think a lot of other people envy the love that you guys have, and I think that you guys do a great job of sharing the ups, sharing the downs, and your wedding is super dope. Is the fact that you guys were able to, I think she posted it and it was like, you guys got married and it was a beautiful wedding and it was like under 10 grand or under $5,000 or something crazy.
Yeah. Her dress was $49. And off of like online, some like whatever, I don't know. She bought this dress. The pants I'm wearing right now are literally my wedding pants. They're Lululemon. Okay?
Yeah. Some ABCs.
I don't know. These are Vent Light.
I was gonna
they
be
don't
like,
sell them
you,
anymore.
I'm like, you
favorite
paid
pants.
double for your pants that she waited for a dress.
Yeah, no, literally. So I got these pants. It was a cost effective thing because we realized like we were going through the whole process.
You
of, like,
Airbnb'd the venue, right?
Airbnb'd the venue in Tennessee in the mountains. Right. So like then all of our friends stayed at this 12-bedroom house and they helped out. Yep,
that's my wedding.
That's his wedding.
Yeah. That was dope. That was a good time.
But we
got
you.
so drunk.
Hey man, those ladies
Cabo,
not bad
man.
for a couple of fat kids.
I know,
huh?
man.
Yeah,
I know, I definitely
fat kids
outpunted-
unite.
Outpunted the
Yes,
cover. But yeah, no, it was cool. We did the Airbnb thing. Everybody helped out, because they were staying there, and we realized like, and this is no offense to anybody who's had a big wedding, but like, and Mexico, so intimate wedding too, 40, 50 people, both of us, and we realized like the intimacy behind having that wedding where. Like it was special
Quality time
for
with
us.
everybody,
And then
not just the stop by.
Yeah.
Well, and everybody's response was exactly that. They were like, "This was like we felt like we were
Hey, there
there."
we go.
Kyle did a 50-person wedding as well, and it was the same thing. It was like the whole weekend was like everybody was in it together.
Yeah,
you know what I
she's
mean.
hot.
Everybody bonded.
I did for my wedding.
She's
I
beautiful, Colin. Come on.
Yeah.
She's sexy.
Yes,
I gave
She's
a
beautiful.
speech and I said the 50 most important people in my life are in this room right now. And I didn't really think about it before I said that because afterwards my mom was like, "Your sister's not here." And I'm like, "Oops."
I stand by what I said.
Well, she couldn't make it. That's her fault.
Like,
I
I
said
knew
what
that.
I said, I guess. Oops.
That's funny, man.
All right, so next thing we're gonna go over, we're gonna do an Instagram deep dive,
Oh, jeez.
and we're gonna find some pictures that may be a little embarrassing. I don't know. You got anything for us, Luke?
Okay,
Oh,
What
Wow.
the fuck?
Missouri State? Is that the Bear?
that is
Dad wanted the best suit for Christmas. If you could have only seen his face when he on.
so.
People who don't know,
That's just an edit because it's a bear suit, not best suit. But the bottom line is like my dad legitimately asked for like a bear costume for Christmas. My dad's a very unique individual. Love him to death. He's gotten actual multiple bear suits
Is he
for
like
Christmas.
like a fairy? Like, does he go dancing?
A furry, you're saying?
Yeah.
You call him a fairy?
Fairy.
A furry. No, he's not a furry.
Jeff's gonna try and make you feel dumb for not knowing about
Yeah.
furries.
You're not into furry
Sorry,
culture?
Not in the fur
brought it up?
culture.
No, dude. So he it's really just hard to describe because like that photo is literally just what he got for Christmas, and he's chilling with my dog, and my dog's terrified because it's a bear.
Yeah.
And it's like a lifelike bear costume.
It was
obviously.
a really good one.
Yeah. So
much
like,
did that cost?
we all went in on as a family at the time. I probably threw in $100.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like that's just my dad. I've only described like for Halloween, for example, he wears that kind of stuff. His goal is to just get the most attention possible, and so he will do these over the top, grandiose things to make everybody look at him.
This makes sense now.
I know,
Yeah.
I know, and so. When I do it, I'm embarrassed now. I'm like, oh no, don't do that. So when you guys show me on top of that sport chassis, I'm like, oh no.
Who's that guy?
Not a proud moment. But I will say, it's cool that he does this because on Halloween, it's always just makes for the best stories because he'll sit outside like in a chair and he'll just sit still like it's a statue and not move an inch and wait for like an 8-year-old to walk up and just be like, whoa. When they get close to the can, and like, dude, he's got it all on video and like our Ring cameras and stuff. But he looks like a statue out there, and people think he's like stuffed. And it's worth it.
Oh wow.
Oh, John Meadows, R.I.P.
Damn.
That's in Kansas City.
That's Kansas City
The
photo
Muscle
right
Mayhem
there.
was a pro show for a few years, and it was awesome to have some of the best bodybuilders coming
Jeff,
in
he
town.
was stacked.
There's a couple of things
Still am,
going
dog.
on in this photo. I'm making you two look very short.
Yeah.
And I also am out angling both of you.
You are.
Yeah,
You are looking 230.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're looking pretty thick too.
I'm thicker than a Snickers in that picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just trap daddy. Jeff's got them traps, man.
Always have
Best in KC.
genetics.
Oh, look, Sal gave a little comment on that one.
Yeah. He's
Damn.
talking to simply John Meadows, but 300.
He's like, fuck the other two guys, but John
Yeah.
Meadows, cool dude.
300 weeks ago. There's a fun fact right there.
That's a long time ago.
300 weeks ago.
That's crazy.
Good Instagram deep dive. What else you got, Kyle?
Well, I guess we're last thing we're going to talk about is we are finishing up 75 hard. Jeff told me I actually got an extra day to do it. I finish on next Tuesday, and I thought it was Monday.
Next Monday. You thought it was Sunday.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys cleared that up.
Yeah, but I'm saying I'm done on Monday's our last day.
Correct.
So what's your plans post 75 hard? And if you guys have done 75 hard, give us some feedback on what you guys' thoughts of doing it are.
First, I'll say I'm finishing up on that Monday. And
can't wait to see you just eat like a pig, just straight back to the way you used to do things.
Specifically like a pig. There's a new barbecue spot down the street from my house called Wolfpack Barbecue, and I'm so pumped to have more of it. I tried some of it. It was amazing. And so, like, I'm going to definitely go in on some barbecue. But besides that, dude, it's just really, like, I'm just psyched to continue that, if that makes sense. Like, there's no part of me, like, I'm going to have to be intentional every day with what we talked, like your plan of exactly what the next day looks like. I talked about this on the last podcast. I once tried to do 75 hard after the fact and would just pick and choose one thing a day that I wouldn't actually follow through on if I didn't need to or want to, right? So you can still have fun at that wedding or, at that special event, or I went to the Super Bowl during this 75 hard. That sucked, not drinking a beer. But if I didn't know exactly what I was going to choose not to do the following day or something, and you start letting yourself just choose things that are just more convenient for you in the moment, is where the actual disconnect comes, right? Mm-hmm. And so the very first time that I had somebody come in and be like, "Hey, you want a beer?" And it's like, well, that could be my thing today that I just don't follow, right?
Yeah.
And you forgot that you had plans to do something else that was going to involve food later that day, or and you're not tied to anything. You're not on day 48. You're not thinking in your head, I made this commitment. And it's just very easy to let one mistake turn into two when you have the thought process of, yeah, this is convenient. This feels good in the moment. I'm going to shoot from the hip here. And so, I truly haven't sat with what I'm going to do because I'm going to South Africa a week after this is over. I'm going to spend 10 days in South Africa. And,
if he can find his passport.
Oh, wow.
I just know I can't. So so Monday the 27th, I'll be in Dallas for 24 hours to simply get a new passport. That's true. So
what are you doing in South Africa?
Dude, my girlfriend and I, Hannah.
You need to start giving stuff like that to your mom so you don't lose it.
Or Kyle.
Kyle, dude, we're not even going to go down this path. But yeah, I agree with you. It is embarrassing.
Have
I lost my passport.
Are you talking about Kim's my mom now? Kim definitely handles a lot of that stuff.
She handles all of it. So anywho, Kyle's a big baby. Doesn't do shit. Now he's a dad. But at the time, whenever he met Kim, he lived on a mattress on the ground. So anywho, back to being an adult. I have to, in South Africa, I have 10 days of just straight up, I have done very little traveling. I'm sure you guys, we decided to just work our 20s and do nothing but put yourself in a position where you have a little more freedom. Mm-hmm. And so with that freedom comes trying to travel. And I think traveling and vacationing are very different things. Vacation, you were there to enjoy, a drink on the beach. Traveling, I want to see things. I want to experience things. I want to experience cultures. I want to, rough it if I need to rough it, or try some cuisine I would be afraid to try here in town. And so we're trying to enjoy South Africa.
Traveling and vacationing are different. Dog, they're the same thing, man. You're getting on a plane. I
get what you're saying.
I get what you're saying too.
Yeah.
You're just saying one's a vacation that's relaxing, and one's a vacation where you're just doing stuff.
Yeah, you're hiking and shit.
No, but I feel the intent's totally different. I don't work so hard in my head that I need to go take a vacation. I'm not going to have fun here. I'm just going to experience this. I don't know. Well, here's the thing: the truth is I don't know if it's going to be fun. It might suck. I have no idea. I've never been to South Africa. And I've done zero research. I mean, zero. I've not done even a Google. So there's you guys are familiar with Trova Trip at all?
No.
So you guys know Matt Vincent?
Yeah.
Okay. So we've become friends with Matt and Bonnie over the years, and Matt and Bonnie put on these trips, and they just said, if you guys want to come with us to Peru.
So it's a group trip?
Correct. And so it was just straight up hey, you guys want to go with us? We had Matt Vincent on the podcast, by the way. And so
it's fucking awesome.
So he puts this link up there. I said hey, dude, I'm actually considering this. It's relatively inexpensive. You just got to pay for your airfare on top. And I was like, do you guys have to work this thing? Is this a thing where all of your followers come with you and you have to perform for them, and it's not really going to be us hanging out having a good time?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, dude, I'm tied to nothing. It is straight up just we're going on a vacation with y'all. and that's it.
Word.
I don't have to do
Awesome.
shit. And I was
dope.
like, okay, perfect. I'm in. So I'm like, because they travel and do all kinds of fun shit all the time, right?
yeah.
So I'm like, hey, you're going to do all the itinerary. I don't have to do any research. It's just like take my
show
money
up.
and go. And it's like, we're going to swim with sharks and we're going to like go to a meerkat sunrise.
That's not gonna be fun.
Yeah, that sounds sucky.
You don't know if you're gonna have fun.
I did zero research, but I know the
well, here's
itinerary
the
by
thing,
heart.
like, well, hear me out. Like, dude, hey, like, I don't know what kind of vehicle, like the vehicle that I have to get in, I might be sitting like this looking at these meerkats. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I might be hating life. It might be at 4 a.m. Like, not shit you want to do on vacation typically, right? So the hike to get to the top of this thing might be really brutal. I don't know. I've not looked at the itinerary all the way. I just know that I'm like swimming with sharks.
You're gonna be going on vacation and it's gonna be fun. So
Sweet.
I would guess you're gonna be okay.
here we
Look,
are.
here you go.
If you want to,
This is a
paddle
fun
kayak.
website.
Yeah,
Look at
what
this
the
fun
fuck?
website.
if you want to mock my theory
you're
on
gonna go on a
traveling and vacationing,
Sunset
Snorkeling
Safari
with
game
seals.
drive.
yeah, do the optional activities. We did both. Shark cage diving, meerkat sunrise safari,
Hey,
catered lunch. It's a fucking bologna sandwich and an apple.
Yeah.
if you don't
prison
get a
lunch,
picture like hanging out with a penguin, I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah.
Where's the penguin part?
Penguin kayak trip.
Dude, how dope. I can't wait. Yeah, I'm
I
excited.
hope you have fun traveling, not on vacation.
Yeah, dude, that's going to be us right there. Apparently. This is the honest to God, like the first I've looked at this.
terrible.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
Matt's belly's going to be
yeah,
there.
I like that.
Just a thumb and an elephant. Oh, I'm stoked. Yeah. So hopefully I get there. It's my first ever flight that's 20 hours. I've never done anything over 6.
Now that does
Yeah.
sound
That's
like
gonna be rough.
that's a job.
it's gonna be a new PR for me. 20 hours on one plane. Then we're doing it's 23 on the way there, 20 on the way back, and on the way back it's literally just 2 flights, just straight south, or it's Cape Town, South Africa to Atlanta, and then Atlanta to KC. But the first on the way there, it's 6 hours to Boston, 12 hours to Amsterdam, 10 hours to Cape
Damn,
Town.
do you have a big layover in Amsterdam, or is it?
It's like a 1 hour, dude. So it's
Hey,
like
you
very
can't even
possible.
enjoy it.
And we don't get into Cape Town until 9:30 p.m.
Oh wow.
So, and it's like there's nothing else you can do. We leave at 9 a.m. in Amsterdam. We leave at 9 a.m. in Amsterdam.
Here's
and
some
then-
advice for you. Don't eat a bunch of that barbecue the day before you travel, dude.
Well stated.
You know?
Valid point.
My stomach is not the same as it used to be. I used to be able to get away with anything, you know? Now if I just have like one grape or something that's like off, my body just goes into like shutdown for like 3 days.
Jeff's body hates health foods.
Dude, you know what's something crazy? My dad,
I need French fries. What's going on?
Hey, my dad has Crohn's disease and he legitimately like can't do roughage like at all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like if it's the more processed, the better his body does with it. For
fucking
real.
beautiful.
He eats like chips and Twinkies and he's like 170.
Feels great.
For real though.
Yeah.
He like can't have
That's
salad.
impressive.
Yeah.
He can't have lemonade. Like he can't have all the most random things because it just tears his stomach apart. Crazy.
Now that we're done talking about, defecation, how's you guys' experience on 75 hard?
So I failed my 4th time doing it about 20 days ago. My wife finishes today, like her last day's today.
How'd you fail? Something dumb.
It's
You didn't
something
take a
dumb.
picture.
You know what's funny? I didn't take a picture. Well, so the night before, I like to say that I work pretty decently hard, right? A lot of hours at times and be productive, right? Not busy, productive. But anyways, so worked all day, had an event at night. The event lasted till 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Get home from the event, and it was a phenomenal. It was a Blues game. Like, what a great event to work, right? So we're the official energy drink of the St. Louis Blues now, which is freaking awesome.
That is cool.
But yeah, so I get home and I have a second workout. All right. Well, you got 2 options. It's 11:30, midnight, whatever. You got to go out and do it or not. And I'm also choosing to run 1 mile every day this year. So today is day 75, and I haven't missed a day. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go do my outdoor workout. So mind you, this is the hardest part of this for me is to do cardio and then do it at 1 a.m. in the dark by yourself. Your wife's in bed with your dog sleeping. You know that you can get in there. Nobody will ever know. You can check that box. It's not taking a progress photo, right? Because like that's something somebody technically could ask you to see. So I do it. Next day I wake up at relatively early time. So it's not like I was way out of my schedule, but for some reason I just woke up and forgot. And then the next day was when I looked back and I was like, wait
It's the
a
worst.
second.
The timestamps in the photos, you're just not. It's just.
And I'm
Your
like,
photo,
saddest
you
thing
really
ever.
forgot.
And so I'm telling myself, I'm like, no, dude, you took a photo. And I'm like, I'm like looking in the camera roll in the app, and I'm like, no, the app did. And I'm starting to justify. I'm like, the app must have broke. Like it must have been the 75 hard app. And I'm like, And I'm sitting there.
What
I'm
day
like,
was this?
This is 55-ish.
Dear God, dude.
Right?
That happened to me on 23 and I was devastated.
So I'm fit.
It's
What sucks is my wife is still crushing it. Like she is a high performer, badass. Like she is better than me in basically every way. So like it's like demoralizing for me because I know my wife's gonna fucking crush the rest of this and finish it out. And she hasn't missed a beat. Like as soon as I
she
told
gets
her,
done and she's like, pussy.
yeah, as soon as I told her, she's like, okay. And I'm like, oh, like, are you cool? She's like, yeah, I'm still going to keep fucking going. And I was like, well, yeah, I didn't expect you to quit. She's like, well, good. Cause I'm not. I'm like, okay,
I
wow.
love that. Yeah.
But no, so like part of it, my ego was hurt, but then I was like, I felt like I let her down and let myself down. Right. And I know that the thing is like, I always try to be intentional with 75 hard, like again, 4th time doing it, but there's still so much I can get out of it from the mental toughness, the discipline, all that. And it's just, again, it's all relative to the individual. I know this 75 days, just because you've ran a marathon before doesn't mean the next marathon's easy, right? So just because you've done 75 hard one time, this is the perfect moment of humility to remind me, like when you think you got it figured out, because you've done it 3 other times. I've done phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, and I've done the whole year of Live Hard. So like that, literally coming off of that last year, and then coming to this 75 hard, I almost didn't do it. She was like, "Oh, I want you to do it."
Not
with
challenging enough for you anymore.
Yeah, and then
went
this
into a little cocky.
reminded me that you're not as good as you think you are.
Yeah.
And so a little humility, a little slap in the face.
Yeah,
But
it's not the result; it's the process.
yep. So
You're only as good as your last however many days.
But the question of 75 hard, like that is, I think the big thing is the intent of why we're doing it. That's the big like. Understand it's not a fitness program, right? It's not for the physical results. The physical results will come, obviously. 75 days following a diet, no alcohol, no cheat meals, working out twice a day, all that. But what are you trying to get better at? Because a lot of people go into it with, and I know it's frustrating for you guys doing 75 hard. You see people go into it and they're like doing it as a diet program, doing it as a fitness program. And it's like frustrating because you're like,
doing it for the completion of it, which is the hardest. Like, dude, you're not getting it. Like,
right.
It's not. Let's not do 75 days and then go back to where we used to do things.
If your day 76 is like you're waiting for the and this is no offense to the barbecue thing.
Sure.
Like if you're waiting for the crumble cookie or you're waiting to go pig out at a buffet, you probably didn't do it with proper intent. Is what I tell most people. There's exceptions to that rule. For sure, there's always
it's
exceptions.
just like it's not like on date. It's not like at midnight I'm calling this place, right?
No,
it's literally like the first meal I eat off plan is going to be this meal.
Yeah,
that's
which is totally fine. But like
Yeah.
people obsess over it, right? They post about it on their stories and all this. And I've done bodybuilding shows. I was the same way. I literally be up at like I'd wake up at 2 a.m. and I'd watch like the Instagram videos of like them pouring chocolate over cakes.
Oh,
and shit.
dude, when people complain about like when they're on a diet or they're on a prep or like they're on 75 hard, that's like one of my least favorite things. And they post like a photo of something that like they wish they could have.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, drinking a mocktail and not a cocktail. And you're like, you chose this, dude. Why like you're whining on social media right now for something that you also want people to be proud of you for at the same time. Think about how messed up that is.
It's fucking weird.
You chose this, dude. It's all good.
Well, and I think people are getting away from that like badge of honor of like how much am I suffering? I know me and Kyle specifically talked about this, like especially in the show world, like bodybuilding shows specifically, people talk about how much they're suffering. The good thing about 75 hard is for the most part, the culture behind it, people don't do that. They talk about the positives that they're getting out of it, which is amazing. Like that's an incredible thing. So I'm not trying to say that there's this big issue with the culture because the culture behind 75 hard and the program is phenomenal for the most part. But when somebody's obsessing over that food, I like to think like I question like, is your intent there? Because the first time I did it, let's go back to the rewind. The first time I did it was the first time Andy did it. He texted a group of us and was like, yo, I'm doing this. You guys in, blah, blah, blah. And
you get that 10K?
Yeah. What? No. That was the store one. That was different.
Oh,
it was
sorry, don't get me started on that.
He is
salty about it.
Salty. But no, long story short, I did it the first time and it took me it was like 2-3 weeks later before me and my now wife, she did it with me, to eat something that was like off plan. I remember we were at anyways, it took me like 2 or 3 weeks because we had no intent behind, like I was like, I feel so freaking good. Why would I go back?
Right. It's just, we talked about it's like a self-respect thing at this point now where it's like, I mean, I know that all of us who've had eating issues in the past or yo-yoed in your life, it's like you look at things from like a completion standpoint or like, I'll get in shape for this vacation and then I'll have fun on vacation. And then you in your head are like, you have all the intentions of like getting right back on, you know what I mean? And then like one day turns into two and you know what I'm saying? The unraveling of your bad habits is not an overnight process. It's like you just don't even recognize your habits 90 days later. You know what I mean? I want to ask, you guys a follow-up question, but I want to hear your story as well, Jake, as far as, what was your last few days of 75 hard and what'd you do afterwards?
So it's been a while. It's probably been at least 7 months since I completed it. Tried 3 times, done it twice, failed once. In the last few days, the last day I ended up running a half marathon. And at the time, like, I really wasn't into running. And I understood, like, hey, like, you got to get uncomfortable, right? Like, if I've done 75 hard, if I've done 75 days of this, like, how can I show to myself that, like, I've gotten something out of it and it's doing shit I hate? So I went on a marathon run or half marathon run. And ever since that, it actually, like, motivated me to get in shape and start doing, like, endurance events and stuff like that. So really just pushing past your limits, so to say, and getting uncomfortable. But after 75 hard, I just rolled right into phase 1. So I didn't take any time off because I had so much momentum built and I felt super good. And one thing I've noticed with 75 hard, I don't know if it's doing the program or because I would like to say I'm a structured guy and I do a lot of the
you
same
like the
shit.
discipline?
Yeah, but I do a lot of the same things every single day, like with me being outside of 75 hard. But when I'm on 75 hard, I picture things, or I think bigger, if you will. So I'm thinking bigger, thinking down the road, and the visualization part of, one of the phases that helped me out a lot.
Your intentionality sounds like it's a lot stepped up.
Exactly. So nothing really changed after. Still read, still do the 2 workouts, and I'm not technically on it. I drink here and there. Eat,
Do you remember your big meal that you were excited about?
No, I don't.
What about you, Kyle? What are your thoughts?
I haven't really been having any cravings, so I'll probably just continue to eat the same. I might increase.
This liar told me recently that he had a huge craving. It was a donut.
Donuts are always
that
fucking.
happened.
Donuts are so
that
good,
happened
man.
like a month and a half ago.
Sweet.
I said
what kind of donut
I said
you
that
going
was
with,
the
though?
only craving that I've had.
Okay.
I need to increase my calories because I can feel that I've been running in a calorie deficit for too long, and I told myself at the beginning of this I'm going to do 2,700 calories a day, 200 grams of protein a day, and I'm not going to care about anything else. I'm just going to track everything, and so I don't want to veer from that because I told myself that's what I was going to do for the whole time. But I can feel my body basically being like, all right, enough. We need to start increasing calories and get back into a maintenance calorie and maybe start building my calories back up phase. And so I'll probably start doing that when I get done.
What do you guys think for detractors on 75 hard? Because I think this is something where I feel like if anybody's listening to this podcast and they've gotten this far, they're not a detractor, right? But we will have listeners who have maybe tried it or done it or interested in doing it, but they hear a lot of people talking shit. And it's definitely something that I see a lot of people talk shit on. And the frustrating thing for me is that not a single person that has talked shit on it, not one that I've ever seen, has ever completed it. Not a single person. It's just so frustrating. It's like I can respect people who do a bodybuilding show and say, you know what, I think that's going to be the only one I do.
Yeah, it wasn't for me.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that, but I did it, and something I can say I've done. But man, the amount of shit talking that there is for 75 hard from literally nobody who's done it. It's just crazy to me. But sorry, what do you guys think? What's the most thing you hear? What's the thing you hear the most?
Well,
I guess
people.
You see what I was saying, right?
Back
Like
to
I'm not.
what Colin was saying. People think it's a diet plan, and they're just trying to get in shape. And if you go into that with that mindset, you're wrong, right?
Right.
And I think people tie, just yes, you will see physical results, but it's more about the mental side of things. That's going to change over the time if done correctly. So
it's creating self belief. I mean, you're keeping the promises to yourself every single day. I mean, it's like a mental toughness challenge, really. And it's so frustrating on that side of things, man. I told somebody yesterday, that day I was at the gym, and they're like, "Oh my God, how many pounds have you lost?" Yeah. I was like, "Oh, what if I was trying to gain?"
Yeah.
Like F you, you know what I mean? Like what if I was like trying to just transform muscle? You know what I mean? You have no idea. They're like, "How many pounds are you down?" Like, I know so many people have lost so much weight on that. I'm like, totally not the goal. Yeah. Go ahead, sorry, Colin.
No, don't be sorry. I think one of the things is anytime you get outside of that norm, like anytime you get you break the narrative, right? Like
Sure.
there's gonna be some feedback or kickback rather. And I think that's what 75 hard is, because when people first hear it, they think 75 days, no alcohol, and all these things, these habits that we're going against, right, are things that people have had solidified in their life for 20, 30, 40
challenging
years.
a lot of beliefs there.
And so
no doubt.
you have to think not only that, but also then it puts shines a light on their shortcomings. So like,
Right.
let's be real. Part of that is a projection of their own ability or lack of ability in their head to do that.
Yeah, they don't
So
value that discipline. You know, like I'd rather drink or I'd rather eat.
And
or
that's
I'd rather,
okay for them.
Sure.
But like, what is your goal in life? Now, if you're telling me you're trying to be, you know, the most disciplined person in the world, and you're saying 75 days without alcohol and the 5 tasks is too much for you, and you're saying I want to be super disciplined and I want to be a high achiever and a high, you know, have a crazy work ethic and be super disciplined, and you're not willing to do that, then we can have that conversation. But for the people who discredit it or talk trash on it, I just assume they don't want to get much better than where they're at, and that's okay too. Like, I'm totally cool with that. Like, not everybody wants to be a couple, you know, business owners and run a company and help impact people and help impact their employees for better, and that's fine as well. So I think whenever I see that, I'm not discrediting those people's opinions, but what that's telling me is like, they don't want to do that. Just like if you say, Colin, you know, I'm going to run a 100-mile race, and I was like, that seems silly to me, and I'm not going to do it. It doesn't make me a bad person. It just means I'm not interested in that. Now, where it goes the other way is like, why do my habits and what I choose to do affect you? So like when people talk trash on it, it's like, why are you saying that, you know, what I'm choosing to do, what I'm choosing to eat, how I'm choosing to move my body? It's just like when you go to a relative's birthday party or whatever.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, is that on the diet? Or it's like, oh, are you going to have any drinks tonight? You're like, no, I'm not. And it's like this big issue that you're not drinking or you're choosing not to eat all the bull crap. When ultimately it's like, why is that affecting
it's the projections thing we were talking about. I mean, like you're saying without saying, it makes them uncomfortable that you're like, I don't choose the same lifestyle that you do, and I think I'm better for it.
Yeah.
You're saying it without saying it. So I have to literally tell customers in the store, like, do not tell people you're on a diet. Everybody would love for you to fall off because they need to feel good about it. Right. Mm-hmm. Like, and I've done this to people as a kid, you know what I mean? Like as a younger guy, if I'm trying to get Kyle to eat Taco Bell, I've talked about that on the podcast, I try to get him to eat Taco Bell. He's like, no, man, I'm on a diet. I'm like, you are done. Look at you, man. Just have a taco. And he's like, no, man, I'm trying to lean it. I'm like, oh God. Okay.
So if I'm gonna have a taco, by the way, I'm not choosing Taco Bell.
Dude,
like,
he wouldn't do it. But I mean, when you're 21 years old, it's gold. Anyways,
it's as much that as detractors are leveraging popularity of something to increase their visibility and feeling threatened. So within the world of like fitness professionals, like coming at it, it's like
this is a trendy thing to talk about.
This is
I'm
not
gonna throw my 2 cents on it.
This is not This is not taking a personal trainer's place. You know what I'm saying? And it's also, you know, like I said, when anything becomes popular in the world of content, it's like everybody's got to cut, you know, a piece of content, giving their 2 cents on it.
Dude, did anybody else notice? Like, okay, we're Chiefs fans. Like after the Super Bowl, there was like 2 weeks of just like, Patrick Mahomes cheats on girlfriend or wife or like, and you're like, what the hell? I've never seen any of these. These are all just like BS videos of people just taking a really, really trendy thing that's going on right now and trying to turn it into content, you know, try to turn it into money. So I get all that aspects of it, but I just, you know, the amount of people that I had reach out to me after the first podcast we did on 75 Hard that were just like, dude, like, thank you. You guys like hit the nail on the head with so many things. Like I get so much shit for doing 75 Hard. And I'm like, wow, okay. I mean, like, has any of these people done 75 Hard? She's like, well, no. You know, I'm like, well, of course not. You know? So like it's dude, and this is the other thing that I think is funny to think about when it comes to it, is if we were to create our own, right? Like people have done this numerous times, right? Where they like do their own version of it. Well, I'm doing 75 Hard, but it's kind of like my version of it, right? And you're like, oh, okay.
75 soft.
75
I had a
medium.
buddy tell me that he was doing that, and he was serious. And I was like super supportive of him. I'm like, oh, if you got stipulations you're sticking to, go for it.
That's what I mean. Yeah. But it's funny that, you know, because Andy creates this thing out of thin air, which is the truth, has the, you know, the cowboy or whatever his name is. What's his name?
Iron Cowboy James.
Mm-hmm. He has him on the podcast, and like literally the following week, he's like, I'm doing this. And it's a thing, you know? And if we created a thing that we called our thing, right? Like, for whatever reason, we already don't think it's got as much legitimacy. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like no one else has done it. Like it's like you write your own challenge and you might not be as honorable to it because it doesn't have a million people behind you that's done it and seen success. You're not going to love the idea of following through as much. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely.
It's weird. You write it down on a pencil on paper and you're like, it's just not the same for whatever reason.
Piece.
Yeah.
Well, my thing with 75 Hard, if you look at the tasks, none of the tasks individually, if I told somebody, and so I have somebody very close in my family who is
a detractor, if you will.
Yeah. She's phenomenal, incredible human being. When she first heard of 75 Hard, she's master's degree in dietetics and nutrition. She's a dietitian, registered dietitian. So her first inclination was, oh my gosh, no, it's too restrictive.
There's a restriction on it,
goodness.
and it's a limit. And
I legitimately, when somebody says that, I'm like, there is no, you can do whatever diet you want.
Right.
So you write yourself a diet that's a perfect diet, just follow that.
Yeah. So and that's having that conversation with her, and that's really what it was, because she was like, oh, it's too restrictive and all that. And I got where she was coming from. I was like, I totally get it.
you should be able to chug booze.
Yeah. You should get that girl, I mean, whoever this is in your family, to peel back the layers. Like, hey, what's going on in your head? Like, why? What is it about another program or somebody doing something like that is causing you to have that knee-jerk reaction? So I think it says a lot more about the person that's having the knee-jerk reaction than anything.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's actually what I did. So I was like, all right, individually, if I tell you to read 10 pages a day out of a book that would help you personally develop, is that a bad thing? No. Drinking a gallon of water? No. Taking a progress photo? Somebody could argue that certain individuals out there are going to have a negative effect if they take that progress photo and they're going to use it and they're going to stare at it and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, and they're going to pick apart their imperfections. Well, he never says you have to post on social media, and never says you have to look at it. I literally don't even look at it. If you don't want to do it, I take the photo and I move on with my day. Like, that's what I do. Okay. Sure. So if you go through the tasks individually, is what I did with her. I said, none of these are bad. In the 45-minute outdoor workouts, people work out for an hour and a half at one time. CrossFit, bodybuilding, powerlifting. My powerlifting sessions were 2 to 2.5 hours at times. Might have been a little excessive, but when you're doing 75 freaking sets of squats, I worked out longer when I did every other style of training rather than 75 hard. And that's total 45 indoor or both outdoor, whatever. But like, and one can be a walk, or both can be a walk. Like he specifies that.
Sundays are usually double walk days.
And when you individually break down the 5 tasks and say, hey, are any of these bad? They're like, no. I'm like, okay, so doing them consistently, would that be bad? No. Well, it's the fact that you can't just like on a Saturday night, like have a beer. It's for 10 and a half weeks. 10 and a half weeks flies by. So we talked about 10 years flying by. 10 and a half weeks, 75 days, we'll just say, 11 weeks is such a short-lived period of time to develop skills. And nobody says you have to do it. Just don't talk good about it, or don't talk bad about it. Like, there's no reason to.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's such a hot button for people. And I don't understand why.
By the way, she completed 75 hard and loved it, crushed it, did amazing. And like, once we broke it down, and now
my mom was
like,
68. She did it, loved it.
Yeah. I've gone through so many different phases of feeling like, oh yeah, you need to have leniency, you need to have, blah, blah, blah. You need to be easy on people. You need to give them this break and blah, blah, blah. If it fits your macros, but if you still want to have a little cheat day, whatever. I don't think that's good for our country. Like, if you look at what's happening to our country and the obesity rates and what's happening with, mental health and all that, it's like his leniency, when I feel the
We're
best.
Just getting further and further away from, having high standards for yourself.
That's and it's like, I don't know. I just don't know if that's a positive thing for most people. I think most people are way too lenient on themselves, and it's like some discipline would help you.
At the end of the day, there's a lot of truth. Everybody, mental health is obviously a huge topic. And I think we all have bats of, things that you go through mentally as well, right? Like, the issue that I think really when it comes down to all this leniency is there's no one there to help you in the times when, is that you being lenient or is that you being weak? You know what I'm saying? Like, are you being hard on yourself because of just like the circumstances, or are you being hard on yourself because of the decision that you made? And you might blame the circumstances versus the person that obviously like made the decision. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah.
I had somebody text me that was looking for help, and they were just feeling really down, and they were just like, this is what this has done to me. I was like, oh, you chose that.
Yeah.
Ooh, you just completely, skated over the personal responsibility factor. Yep. And, there's extenuating circumstances, of course, there's asterisks to everything. But by and large, man, it's like you're in control of your own life. You can do these things. It's not life doesn't happen to you, And so I think that's why, Andy's really big on his podcast. He's like, I don't like to go down the mental health route very long because so many people use it as a scapegoat to completely negate their own, lack of action.
Yep.
And that's where I think that it's dangerous, is because we're pushing for this, like, no, don't be too hard on people. It's like, well, dude, how else are they going to get this result that they want? Mm-hmm. They don't know any better. You know what I mean? Like, it's like the hard way is usually the way.
Yeah.
So I'll get off my soapbox, but it's one of those things where it's really difficult to try to convey that to somebody, especially young people that we have working for us now. It's like, dude, I got to say this, Nick Saban, his line that is like the absolute best 5, like little clip, like a little 1 minute clip, really. And he's like, these young guys I talk to now, he's like, they think they have all these choices. They just think that like they can just get this or that and skip the work. And he's like, the truth is it just takes what it takes.
Yep.
That's it. Takes what it takes. They think they can do it different. They can, the grass is greener here. I can just do it my way. And it's like, you'll find out eventually. Pay now or pay later.
Takes what it takes.
Right.
I think that's a good. I think that's a good stopping point for us. Appreciate you guys coming on.
We can apply the question. We have a question we ask every one of our guests, and that is, what is your favorite barbecue in Kansas City?
Dude,
where's the spot to go?
I was going to ask you that,
but we'll tell you where to go.
Okay. Well, where?
Wolfpack Barbecue.
Wolfpack Barbecue.
His last name's Wolf.
Slaps.
Hey, dude. You got the shirt with you?
Look,
I do got the shirt with
you
me.
guys are going to be in town for like a month, right?
Good old month.
Places you have to go is Jack Stack. You got to go to Q39. You got to go to Slaps, and I guess Jeff's got a new spot, his Wolf's Barbecue.
Somebody DM me the other day. I'm gonna look because they
Wolfpack.
were raving. It wasn't Wolfpack.
It's probably going to be some trash.
Arthur Bryant's
like Bryant's.
or Gates. There's like the classics, which they're good, man. They're good. They're all good. But I will tell you right now, St. Louis does not mess around, of course. St. Louis style ribs are a deal.
Okay.
And Sugar Fire absolutely kills it. I genuinely wish they would open up one here because I would I like go out of my way to have Sugar Fire.
Is
I love
Pappy's
it.
still there?
Love it.
Yeah, Pappy's. Well, I assume so.
Salt and Smoke, phenomenal in St. Louis.
Yeah, super good.
What are you trashing? You gonna go trash Sugar Fire, Jake?
Dude,
What's going on here?
It's overrated. They closed down in Edwardsville, man.
I mean, I don't disagree that a franchise isn't going to be as good as obviously one location. I mean, I think the quality stays high in here in Kansas City because there's literally only like a couple that have multiple.
Yeah.
It's difficult to scale a restaurant. Really difficult.
Joe's here has multiple locations.
Joe's and Jack Stack have pretty much, I think Jack Stack's mastered it. I mean, they've really mastered it as far as, multiple locations. But, dude, it's tough, man. Sugar Fire and I mean, I had it in Denver and it was awesome. But
Okay.
like,
So
their sides kill it.
Besides barbecue, what is Kansas City known for food wise? Because like St. Louis has
No.
toasted ravs, emos,
Yeah. We don't do any of that. We just barbecue.
It's just barbecue.
Just barbecue.
But
No
because there's so
desserts.
many different types and so forth.
I've also
that's
heard
it.
we're known for cinnamon rolls.
That's news to me.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, news to me.
I'm a big fan of cinnamon rolls.
Yeah,
Luke
where's
doesn't
the
like
best
cinnamon rolls. Oh,
We've got some pretty here. I will say this: like we do have some phenomenal restaurants and bars that get a lot of attention based on just like how well they run or whatever. The first ever Chicken and Pickle is here,
Okay.
and Chicken and Pickle is just coming to the streets of St. Charles right now in St. Louis, and they are a mecca. They're humongous. I know that you guys just got what's the spot?
it's like
my
Rec
father-in-law,
Center.
he's building one of those.
There you go.
In O'Fallon or Shiloh area.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh
it's supposed to
wow.
be massive.
They're incredible, but their food's really good. And so
Really?
like that's where people usually mess up, right? They rely on like food trucks or
Correct.
some random like kind of cafeteria style food, but like they do wood fired chicken and their chicken wings are solid. Kyle and I are huge on the chicken wings from there.
I'm down. I'm down to give it
So
a
you guys
shot.
will have to check it out. Check out the barbecue. Let everybody know where they can find you guys. So they can hit you up on Instagram and you can drop off First Form energy drinks to them.
First one energy drinks, bars, and all the meat
got
sticks.
You goods. We got you goods. I'm Jake,
meat
Jake .a.wolf, WOLFF on IG.
Mine's Mr. _Stark
Is this your
_
OnlyFans or
Iron Man.
Instagram?
Only feet.
Okay.
Only feet. I got soft feet.
Mr. _
MR _ Stark _ Iron Man.
Love it.
Classic.
I made it in like 8th grade, and it
It
stuck.
goes. It's
and,
fine.
How many Ironmans you done?
I did a half Iron Man randomly one day.
It worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you just have to put the little half symbol in front of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get the tattoo.
Get a half of a
Yeah.
tattoo. on my half.
70.1 Iron Man.
Oh man. Yep. I got to do a full now.
All right, bros.
Hey,
Appreciate you guys
We
coming on.
appreciate you guys.
Appreciate
Thank you.
fellas. See you guys.
See ya.